Hello,
Hey, Danny, how's it going?
Maurice.
Hell, well, I mean, thanks for saying my name.
Hey, what's up? Oh, sorry. I mean, you call
Nah,
in
nah,
every week, and you have a very recognizable voice.
nah. This isn't really controversial opinion, but people don't want to admit it.
Okay.
I think we need to reopen up sane asylums and just pretty much take away like homeless people's free will. I like to believe we live in a healthy society where people like wouldn't just like live in Skid Row, that they would like help themselves.
Yeah.
But we're beyond that point.
So
So
you're
it's kind of
sorry,
like
sorry. You cut out for 1 second there. So your controversial opinion is
that we need to reopen up sane asylums
insane
and just
asylums.
and just give homeless people a choice. Like either you get forced to help or you're like going to prison.
But isn't an insane asylum for like, or you're saying that'll be like a rehab as well?
Yeah, yeah. Not like exactly how it was in the 70s, but just like open up these large mental institutions.
Large man. Oh, okay. And then like basically Arkham Asylum kind of deal, but essentially just
It's like
sweep the streets and they just
yeah,
pick up everybody and then yeah, I mean that's a tough one in America. That's very
yeah.
un-American. It feels like.
It for sure is only like it's the other option is just doing nothing and just like everybody gets hurt. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. I mean, clearly the issue. I always wondered about this is that if you made drugs super affordable, right? Like if drugs were just so cheap, now obviously it would cause potentially other problems. But if you're someone who's like living on the streets, all you do is drugs. If you made drugs super cheap, would they just die? Would they overdo it because there's so much available? Or
Oh, isn't there? Was it like Portugal or Spain? Like
well,
legalized all drugs?
Portugal legalized all drugs, and then Vancouver, British Columbia, maybe sorry, no, the entire province of British Columbia recently also legalized all drugs, and you can get like heroin and shit from the government. They will give you like tested, super high
Jeez.
potency, clean heroin that you
Well,
buy.
how's Vancouver doing? Because last time I went there, you guys have that. What was it like Kingston Street? That's pretty much like Canadian
Hastings,
Skid Row.
Hastings
Hastings.
Street, yeah, East Hastings. How's it do? I mean, the thing is like you're never really gonna get rid of like people who are like on drugs. Like I don't think
Yeah,
right. And so to say like, hey, we're just gonna like put them all in a facility. I mean, it on paper maybe it seems good if the facilities are like of a certain quality, I guess.
yeah.
But it's harder to put into practice, and building out these facilities and all
Oh,
that,
for sure.
all the
It,
infrastructure of them. I mean, it seems great on paper. You go, hey, we're gonna like, but then again, the by force part. I don't know, because I guess you'd have to make all that stuff go to be like, oh, now this stuff is super illegal, so like we're just gonna bust you for something that you're doing on the streets. I mean, I'm sure that's been discussed in terms of all these tent cities. They're like, how are we gonna crack down on them? But I mean, East Hastings, in an odd way, in Vancouver, almost has. I don't want to say it's figured out because it's not, and I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me. But they kind of localize. They go like, all these people, you go to this little area, and this is like stay kind of in this area, and this is like your drug area. I don't know, and the city's doing their best to provide them with like
yeah. Well, isn't that like what they tried to do in The Wire, where they're like,
yeah,
this
exactly.
one street,
Amsterdam.
everybody, yeah, sells
Yeah,
out.
but I mean, the
Otherwise, we're
alternative
chill.
is you could be fucking like, China or some shit. We go look, or Singapore. We're like, well, we're just gonna execute everybody who
I know. See,
does
that's
drugs,
where like
and that
it
works
gets
too.
so hard. Well, I think isn't it Brazil where they're like, all right, after this day, if you sell drugs, guys, you're fucked.
I think. Well, the Philippines, like
The Phil,
yeah, the Philippines, their president Duterte or whatever, I think that's his name. He just was like went on this rampage of just killing drug dealers and
yep.
shit. And I'm sure he, had some errors and probably killed some people who were not. But yeah, I mean, you have to kind of decide what kind of like country you want to live in. Do you want to live in the country that like the president is just executing drug dealers? Some people do.
Yeah,
Like some people do want to live in that, but that comes with, other
because it just
other
feels so
costs.
weird when there's like literally big homelessness is a thing. You know, like California spends like 800,000 for like a 1 bedroom apartment for homeless people. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
all that money?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, but like you see a lot of. I mean, New York. I don't know what it's like where you live, but like New York has a lot of homeless people. But homeless people there are, and when I was living in Toronto, same thing. But like there are shelters and stuff for them. The problem is a lot of those shelters are like you have to be here by 8 p.m. Like you can't.
Yeah, or like you have to be sober.
You have to be sober and all this stuff, and they're just like, I would rather sleep outside in the frigid cold on the fucking sidewalk and still be allowed to do drugs and alcohol than have like a bed in this thing. I don't know, man. It's a tough situation.
It's definitely so hard because especially like, dude, just homeless veterans is a pretty mind blowing concept. Like you're just like protecting a fucking pedophile warlord and like you're homeless now.
Pretty much. I mean, but that's another thing. I'm sure there is some sort of I could be wrong on this, but I imagine veterans, there must be some sort of outreach where they try and help them, but they're in the same boat where they're like, look, I want to be able to drink and do drugs. And then the root issue is probably like, their PTSD, which they deal with, they self-medicate, and I don't know.
Which mental asylums could help? Maybe. Get like a bunch of therapists and everything, some like antipsychotic pills.
Maybe. But what happens if they don't want to take it? What if they go, I don't want to take these pills? And you go, okay, well then you got to go back out on the street and you're just back where you started. I don't know. It's
hard question.
It's a hard question. It is. But I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to start ranking these. That's a 6 out of 10. Maurice says round up all the homeless. I didn't frame it that nicely for you, but yeah.
All right. Well, good talking to you, Danny, as always.
Take care.
Bye.